Donald, nice to see you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your wins last night.
Yeah, it was a great evening.
Always more fun to win, isn't it?
It's much better. We've had it both ways. Much better.
All right. Republican Party. Who is the leader of the Republican Party today? You're the presumptive nominee, not the nominee yet, and we've got the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. So who's the leader?
Well, I would say Paul Ryan. I mean, I would really think that. I'm doing very well. I'm leading in every category, and I think I'm going to have a record number of votes. I already have a record number of votes, come to think of it. And millions of votes, more than they had 4 years ago, many millions of votes more. And I think I've set the all-time record for votes gotten by a Republican candidate. But I would say Paul for the time being, and maybe for a long time.
Okay. Tomorrow you're going to meet with Paul Ryan and with Reince Priebus. What's the goal?
I think just unity, and we'll see how it goes, and I think it'll go well. Paul is a good person. I don't know Paul well, and I think it's part of the meeting we have to get to know. Don't forget, he knew everybody else because they're governors, they're senators. I am a businessman, and I think we want to get to know each other. I think we want to see if we have the same ideas, because I represent a large group of people with very strong ideas and foundations, and I think we want to see a little bit about that. And hopefully it'll work out. We're going to have a very successful campaign. The polls have been through the roof. In fact, I guess over the last 3 days they've gone up amazingly. I'm now winning in Ohio and winning in a lot of places. So it's been a very interesting week.
Can you have unity with Speaker Ryan when you have differences on immigration and entitlements, which are very important topics to the Republican Party and to the rest of the nation? And I think probably he thinks you should probably tone it down a bit on your language. I
think you can. I mean, we can always have differences. No matter what you have, you're going to have differences. If you agree on 70%, that's always a lot. But we will have, I'm a strong border person, and so are millions of people, obviously, because that's one of the reasons I'm here. That's one of the reasons you're interviewing me instead of one of the people that you no longer can interview. It wouldn't make sense. So, yeah, I think you can, actually, Greta. I think you can.
You mentioned those other people. Some of them signed the pledge and aren't going to endorse it, or said they haven't. Your thought on that?
Well, they're dishonorable people. I mean, anybody that signs the pledge, I can think of Jeb Bush signed the pledge, and he's not going to honor it, so that's a dishonorable person. Now, I would imagine he will ultimately honor it because, they wanted me to sign the pledge. Everybody wanted me. I was the big one that everybody wanted me to sign.
Well, you held off.
You remember with the raising of your hand and the whole thing, and so I end up signing the pledge, and then these people don't honor it. They don't honor it. I think that somebody like Lindsey Graham will end up signing the pledge, because I actually think he's an honorable person, and I think he will sign the pledge. I think that Jeb, I don't know what he's going to do.
Going back to immigration and Speaker Ryan, I heard today that you had at least discussed a possible immigration commission. Is that right?
I'm looking at it very strongly with Rudy Giuliani heading it.
Has he said he would?
I've spoken to him a little while ago. We're going to put together a group of probably 5 or 6 people, very, very highly thought of people, and I think Rudy will head it up. And we'll look at the Muslim ban, or temporary ban as we call it, and we'll look at some other things on immigration, and I have a lot of confidence in Rudy Giuliani.
Have you decided whether you're back off on the ban? And I realize it was a temporary ban, but with an unlimited, that temporary period could go on forever the way.
No, it was never meant to be. I mean, that's why it was temporary. Sure, I'd back off on it. I'd like to back off as soon as possible because, frankly, I would like to see something happen, but we have to be vigilant. There is a radical Islamic terrorism problem that, our president doesn't even want to talk about. All you have to do is take a look at the World Trade Center, take a look at San Bernardino or Paris, what a disaster that was, and so many other locations. Just last night in Germany, look what happened on the train. And it's a big problem. We're going to have to solve the problem. But I think by putting together a commission, a group of people that are highly respected in this field, like Rudy and others. I think that could lead to something pretty good.
The ban, the way it's described, even as a temporary ban, would have, for instance, barred Amir Hekmati, the Marine who was over in Iran, held prisoner. He wouldn't be able to come back, and the Muslims who were serving in our military overseas, they wouldn't come back.
No, they would all come back. I mean, we have exceptions, and again, it's temporary, and ultimately it's my aim to have it lifted. Now, right now there is no ban, but I would like to see, there has to be an idea, there has to be something, because there are some pretty bad things going on, and I have Muslim friends, great Muslim friends, who are telling me, you are so right, there's something going on that we have to get to the bottom of it. So we'll see what happens, but I think by putting 5, 6, or 7 people together that really they have an expertise in the field, I think that would be good. And Rudy's a smart guy, he's a tough guy, he gets it, he understands the problem, and he's willing to talk about the problem, and he will head it up, and he's agreed to do so.
All right, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but so it's a ban on Muslims with exceptions. And that would be temporary.
Always you have to have exceptions.
Okay, well, the way that everybody read it was across the table.
No, you'd have exceptions, and ideally you won't have a ban very long. I mean, we just have to find out what's happening. I mean, you take a look at what's happening. I'm not just talking here. I'm talking about all over the world. You look at Germany. It's a mess. You look at Sweden, where they have a section that they just started. It's a total mess. I mean, something has to happen.
I guess it's the constitutional implication that certainly is why I'm pressing you on
Well, we'll
this.
take a look. I mean, I am, as far as the Syrians coming in, thousands and thousands of Syrians coming in from the migration. We have to build a safe zone. We have to do something. I'll get, frankly, the Gulf states to put up money, and they'll be willing to put it up. I guarantee you they'll put it up, because they haven't put up much right now. And I don't want to spend the money on it because our country doesn't have any money. We're $19 trillion in the hole. We're going to be $21 trillion very, very soon because of the budgets that were recently passed, the omnibus budget, etc. And we're really a nation that doesn't have the money. We have to pay off debt, not create more debt. So we will get a safe zone someplace in Syria, or numerous safe zones, and we'll build, and we'll use other people's money, meaning other countries' money, the Gulf states in particular, and we'll do something very good. But I am absolutely against having more people flowing into this country. No documentation, no papers, no nothing. Nobody knows where they come from. And this is what Obama's taken him, tens of thousands. Hillary Clinton wants to double and triple the effort. She wants to do it even more so. And we will have problems like you've never seen before if we do that.
All right, tax returns. You said that you don't intend to release your tax returns. And
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said I'm being audited.
But
being audited.
What about the returns that aren't being audited? The years
No, there's a link, but it goes way back.
How far back have you been audited?
I don't know. I'd have to ask, but quite long enough that it would matter. And there's a link between that and other things. And as soon as the audit's finished, I'd love to. It's just a relatively simple audit. Now, I'll tell you what's unfair. Every year, for many years, I've been audited. And I have friends that are very rich that don't get audited. They never get audited. I get audited every single year. And I think it's actually very unfair.
Do you think it's deliberate, intentionally being
I don't know, but I know this. I have friends that are very wealthy people. I say, how often do you get audited? They didn't even know what I meant. They're never audited. I'm audited every single year. And I think it's very unfair.
If your audit goes back 7 years, would you release the 8th year back? Would you be willing to do that?
Well, number one, it would be meaningless. I'd have to find out how far back it goes. But number one, when you go back 8 years, it gets to be.
I know, but people are suspicious. But people are suspicious that you're not releasing because in January of 2012, you said to me that Mitt Romney was making a big mistake by not releasing his. So naturally, that's become a flashpoint.
No, but he wasn't under audit. I'm under audit. No lawyer would say release it when you're under audit. And these are very simple audits.
I agree. I'm a lawyer. I wouldn't have someone, but I
no,
agree.
If you represented me and I'm under audit, and it's a routine
I'd tell you
audit,
not to release.
you would
I agree.
say not release.
If I were your lawyer.
So the answer is I'll release. Hopefully before the election, I'll release, and I'd like to release. By the way, you learn very little from a tax return. You know, I've released my financials, and my financials show tremendous numbers, very little debt, all of that. You don't learn very much from a tax return. I think part of the thing to do with releasing, though, is it dispels that argument that there's something going on that you're not doing it. It takes the mystery off it. You don't learn anything. A tax return, you learn very, very little. I mean, I've released highly complex, detailed financials in line with the Federal Elections Commission. We put them in, I think it's 99 pages or close to 100 pages of detail saying what a great company I built. You know, I built a company with very little debt. All of this stuff is certified numbers, very, very little debt, tremendous cash flow, tremendous value, great assets. I mean, that's something, and people go over that and they're very impressed. You learn very little from a tax return. But here's the thing, Greta. when you're under audit, and you just said it as a lawyer,
I totally listen.
you would never have it.
I mean, I totally agree. If you were my client, and you were under audit, I'd say don't release it.
Yeah.
But I just think there's some years outside the audit that might be released, at least to get rid of.
First of all, if there are, they're meaningless. Okay,
right, well,
it doesn't
anyway.
matter because they're so far back. But at the right time, I'll release them. I hope to release them. I'd like to release them. But when I'm under audit, I can't do that.
All right. Terrible situation in Baghdad today. 3 bombs went off. There are about 100 people killed. Probably be more killed, more die from their injuries within a short time. If you're president today and you get the news, you get awakened, what do you do?
Well, look, the war in Iraq is a disaster. I was against it from the beginning. We should have never been there. I always have to preface it by saying that was bad
We're
judgment.
there. I mean, we
Hillary
had 5,000
Clinton had
troops
bad
there.
judgment. She raised her hand. Bad judgment on email. She's got bad judgment on everything. We should have never been there. Okay, now we're there. We have a crooked government. We have a government that's dishonest as hell. The money is being squandered and stolen, and the oil is being stolen, and everything is a mess. And now they have probably ISIS going in and bombing the hell out of the place with these horrible bombs that kill lots of innocent people. It is a hellhole. It's a mess. It's something we should have never been involved in. Now we're involved. What are you going to do? You have to be very tough. You have to be very stringent. But you have a government there that's totally corrupt. You have a bunch of corrupt people in that government, and the whole thing is a shame.
All right, that's the problem. What do we do? We've got 5,000 troops there now, and I mean, if you're president, do you do more or do you less? What do you do?
You got to get rid
watch?
of ISIS,
what?
but when it's not ISIS, it'll be somebody else. I mean, look, we have been over there for so many years. We've spent probably now it's up to $5 trillion in the Middle East. $5 trillion in the Middle East. At some point, we have to get the hell out. You know, with ISIS, you're going to get them, you'll knock them out. There'll be somebody else. It's going to continue to form. It's a mess. And we have to get rid of ISIS. You know, they chop off the heads and they ground the people in cages, and we have to do it. And they blow up people. Probably this was ISIS or ISIS related that took place in Baghdad. But at some point, we have to get back to our country. Our infrastructure is falling apart. Our highways, our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our airports, they're falling apart. We're like a third world country. $5 trillion. We could have rebuilt our country and had plenty of money left over.
All right, Vice President, everyone's, I know that you haven't told anybody who your Vice President is. You probably haven't made the decision yourself.
I actually haven't.
Yeah, I mean, okay, good. Well, how big is the universe? Is it 5 or 6? Or is
I'd say 5 or 6 or 7, maybe.
Okay, let's have a few more kids. Any women in that group?
Actually, yes.
Okay. Last night, Governor Jan Brewer said to me that she thought you ought to look at Governor Mary Fallin in Oklahoma. Is she one of the women?
Well, and also Jan. I mean, Jan Brewer has been fantastic. She has been so fantastic, and I won so big, her territory, and we won so big. And she's a fabulous woman, and I agree with you. Governor of Oklahoma, fabulous person.
All right. Governor Christie, is he still sort of in there?
I don't want to say in there, but he's helping me, and he was an early endorsement and a very enthusiastic one, and he's a friend of mine, and he's a very good guy and a talented guy, and he's helping us a lot.
All right, one last question. You told me once before you're looking for someone who has experience in government.
Most likely.
And I've seen a lot of that, so that hasn't changed.
Most likely. I mean, I have one that maybe could fit the role very nicely that would not be really government related as much, but I do like the concept of we're going to be passing legislation. We're not going to try and do all the executive orders like Obama. He can't get anything passed, so he just keeps
No
signing
executive orders? But you're not going to do executive orders?
Well, we may be forced. We'll see. I mean, it depends on what, but President Obama is signing a lot of executive orders. Nobody ever heard of an executive order before. I mean, I know Bush signed them and other people signed them, but all of a sudden it's like this major event to get things done. It would be nice to go back to the old-fashioned way. It's called passing legislation, having people get together and pass legislation. So I like the idea of somebody helping me with that, somebody very political.
All right. The convention, we hear it's going to be spectacular. Different than the other conventions or the same?
I think it'll be a spectacular convention. We're involved. I'd like to actually bring some entertainment. I mean, you hear a lot of speeches and people start falling asleep after the 19th speech. So if we could bring some great entertainment, we have some incredible country and western people. I happen to love that, but we have some great country and western people that want to come in. We have some great entertainers that want to come in. Now, some want to come in, but they can't because they happen to be on the other side of the ledger. You know, it's a little bit tough. But we have some great entertainers that want to come in.
Any thought on a keynote? Who would be inspiring to have as a keynote speaker?
we actually have some thought as keynote speakers, and I think we're going to have a very good one. But I have to keep this a surprise, Greta. We don't want.
I told you it's a parlor game. We all play guess. I'm trying to get some clues, like the parlor game.
And the vice president, whoever that may be, and I think it'll be somebody that'll be very good. Whoever that may be will be announced sometime during the convention. I want to keep it that way. That's the way it's been typically. Keep a little suspense at least, right?
Donald, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Greta.